YouTube, how the fuck you doing? Hey guys, Nadeshot. Today I'm bringing a brand new video. In the last couple days, you guys have seen quite a few Advanced Warfare gameplays coming out of the Optic House, whether it was Claysters, Scump, Embos, or myself. But what you guys really haven't seen is a breakdown of how it felt to play Advanced Warfare. So the game's coming out in quite a few days, whether it's November 3rd for the Day Zero edition, or if it's November 4th for the original edition. You guys should know what you're walking into before you pop that game in your disc, or whether you download it before you play. So I'm gonna try and give you guys my best kind of breakdown or analyzation of what I thought was the pros and cons of Advanced Warfare, so that you guys have an understanding of what it's going to be like when you play in just a few days. Now, before I go any further, I just want to let you guys know that everything that I'm talking about is subject to change. You guys know just as well as I do after playing Call of Duty for years that the weapons are changed drastically within the first couple weeks that the game actually releases. The studio needs to figure out better balancing, and they nerf and buff weapons, it seems like every other week. So I don't want you guys to think that this is set in stone. Don't take it with a heavy heart. I just want to give you guys my first impressions on the build that I played, so that you guys have a better understanding of Advanced Warfare. I said it a bunch in the beginning, but I just don't want you guys to think that this is all set and permanent. So just use that and that umbrella as this video goes on, and as I talk about it more and more, so that you guys understand that this isn't just it. So I believe there's three main categories that we should really talk about in this video. That's going to be weapons, the Exo Suit, and maps and game types. And I want to start off right away. I don't want to waste any time. And the only things that I think we need to talk about weapons-wise is the comparison between assault rifles and submachine guns. From an initial standpoint, I thought that submachine guns were a lot of fun to use, but they were a little bit on the weaker side. They had their situational plays where close range within the hardpoint, they were the best option. They would absolutely melt, and it felt like a submachine gun that I've used in the past. But for the most part, I really found myself gravitating towards the assault rifles just because of the movement. With the Exo Suit, you can scale the map as quickly as you want, as long as you have an understanding of how the movement actually works and the mechanics of it. But you could also strap on adjustable stock like we did in Black Ops 2 with the M8 to any assault rifle, and you were strafing just as quickly as a submachine gun. So for me, I wanted the power and the range of the assault rifles, but I also had the movement of a submachine gun at close range within the hard points. And even though there were a couple plays here and there where the submachine gun would outgun me at close range, I still felt like the assault rifle was the best and most practical idea and the most practical weapon for me to use throughout the entire course of the 2 hours that I played. Now, I'm sure that's going to change quite a bit, and the submachine guns could see a buff in the near future, but if I were you, off the rip, I'd be using assault rifle. I was using the BAL, and I was also using the HBR, I believe it was called. I could be a little mistaken on the name of that weapon. I think the burst weapon that was most like the M8 was the IMR. I didn't use it too much just because I was so in love with the automatic assault rifle, but that's all subject to opinion. It really comes down to your preference, but in my opinion, as it stands right now, assault rifles are going to do a lot of damage in the first couple days and the first couple weeks of Advanced Warfare. Now, moving on to the Exo Suit, I think that's something that they did extremely well. When you're adding such a new dynamic to a Call of Duty franchise, I feel like it'd be something that you could easily screw up, but they hit the nail right on the head, and the movement feels great. It feels so natural. It's almost as, I saw someone tweet this out, it's almost as if I'm in the game using the Exo Suit. You know, it's very reactive to how you want it to move. Like, you think it and you translate it to an analog sticks, and it works just as if you thought it in your head. And that's the hardest thing I feel like a developer would have, trying to add such a new mechanic into a game. And it really added an entire new element to Call of Duty. I think movement itself is something that the Call of Duty franchise never really had an importance on. If you go back and play a game called Gears of War, or you play Halo, movement was the most important in the game. If you had the master of movement, you were one of the most lethal and best players in the game. And now that Call of Duty has it, I feel like objective players and smarter players are going to thrive, where you're not too worried about gunfight. Like, gunfights are important, and you actually have to have a lot of reaction time, and you have to be a skillful player. But if you can outsmart your opponent with movement, whether you're capturing a flag or just crossing the map as quickly as possible, I feel like smart players who are very methodical about their movement and understand how to use the Exo Suit to the best of their ability are really going to thrive this year. And that's why I'm excited, because my shot, my aim and my accuracy has never been like my strong suit. I feel like I've used my brain in the last couple of years as a pro Call of Duty player to really give myself an advantage over players in situations where you need to really think about your next step. And that's what I'm excited for, because I feel like objective players are going to have their shine. Slayers are going to be very important, but if you understand how to use the Exo Suit, you are going to be at the top of your game, and you're going to really help your team out as much as possible. Now, the stim abilities, or the exo abilities, I'm sorry, not stim, exo abilities are going to add an entirely new meta to the game as well. I think there's about 8 different abilities to the Exo Suit. One of the most frequent ones that I saw being used was the stim, which kind of gave you that extra boost of health. You know, when you shot somebody, you got the Juggernaut sign that you used to see in Call of Duty 4. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember that. And then you also had something called Overcharge, where it would increase your speed for a little bit. And there's just going to be so many different abilities that are going to change the meta of this game. It's really going to change the strategy that teams use to maybe break hard points, or to rush and search and destroy with the cloak ability and Overcharge. It's just going to be so many different strategies and ability to change the game just by using a different class than other players, and I'm really excited for that. I think that's going to be a big difference in the Call of Duty franchise, and I can't wait to get into it. Moving on to game types and maps, all of the maps were wonderful. The few that I played, I thought they were great. The colors were very vivid, callouts were easy to make. It was very easy to learn the maps and understand where you need to go and the flow of it. You know, they use sort of the 3-lane Call of Duty style that we've seen in the past, and I think they've just done an amazing job with the maps. And the ones that I played so far, I'm in love with. I can't wait to get my hands back on the game. It's something they just did extremely well, and I'm really happy about it so far. Now, obviously, I'm sure my opinion might change as time goes on and I get to play the maps more, but for the most part, I'm in love with the maps in Advanced Warfare, and I think that you guys will be too. And game types, Uplink was an absolute blast. If you guys haven't seen it, it's where you have a satellite and you have to throw it into the portals, which are called uplinks on each side of the map. It caused for some really insane games between us pro players. Now, I'm not sure how viable it will be for competitive Call of Duty. I want to play it for a few more weeks with a few other players to see if it can really work. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not saying it will work, but for the most part, I think we just need more time with it. But as a spectator, I think you're going to see some really amazing moments within that game type. Hardpoint, I really, like I said, from Black Ops 2, it's something that I think is just the cornerstone of Call of Duty now. Competitive Call of Duty, that is. And it still feels great. I'm in love with it. It came down to some really close games. Even our last game that we played was the tiebreaker. I think the map count was 4-4, and the last game that we played was so extremely close, down to the wire. And it's those games that I feel like why Black Ops 2 did so well. Search and Destroy still feels great, as well as Capture the Flag. We got to play a little bit Momentum, but I wasn't really a big fan of the game type itself. But for the most part, I think that really gives you guys an idea of what Call of Duty Advanced Warfare will be like when the game drops. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. If you guys have any questions for me, make sure to leave them in the comments below. If you guys found this video informational, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and YouTube. We'll see you fudging later. Goodbye.